Hello, all beautiful people. My name is Robert Canis, and this is another Beyond the Courage podcast. Today, we have a really amazing guest. Gary Wimmer is with us. You had one of the most really astonishing near-death experiences in 1977. How you doing, Gary, today?
Well, compared to everything that's going on in the world, I feel lucky and grateful. You know, I could go down the list. I don't live in Ukraine, Gaza, Russia, North Korea. You know? Thank you,
Yeah,
planet.
thank you. Uh, I would like to ask you first, before you tell us about your really amazing NDE, how was your life before your NDE happened?
Well, I was the third of seven brothers. I was born November 47. My two older brothers, December 8th, 46 and 45, double and triple Sagittarius. I had four younger brothers, so I was the third of seven. I grew
Wow.
up, pretty normal life. I was an altar boy. I was always curious about God and Jesus and religion, and I also started playing guitar in about 1964, and just as a for fun, and turned out to be a profession, you know, which I wasn't planning on. But I went to Texas Tech, studied electrical engineering, and in my last couple of years, 68, 69, 70, I started reading a lot about Edgar Cayce and getting very interested in psychic ability. Edgar Cayce is one of the first um, people I read that made sense about life and reincarnation and fairness and justice and history and the pyramids and on and on and on. Uh, I moved to Austin in 1970. I was an electrical engineer and I served as a conscientious objector to stay out of Vietnam, stay out of the military because it was all defense work and I didn't want to do defense work. So I worked 2 years as a conscientious objector here in Austin, Texas, and I started giving readings with regular
Hmm.
playing cards. A couple different psychics read my chart and said, "Oh, you got a lot of natural psychic ability." In 1980, I met a lady who did this, gave readings by lithomancy, which I learned. But prior to that, in 1977, sort of out of the clear blue, I started feeling very intuitive, very psychic, being able to pick up what people were thinking or about to say or who's going to call on the phone. Just started on about January 21st, 1977, as a matter of fact. I didn't sleep that night, couldn't. My mind was racing. Next day, my roommate comes in reading the paper, and I saw the headlines through his eyes.
Wow.
That shocked me. He threw the paper down, and I glanced at it. Article about Jimmy Carter, exactly what I'd seen. This started building up, and I walked down the store. My two roommates left, go to work. I went down to the store, get some stuff, and every time I passed somebody, I felt like I could pick up their thoughts and feelings. And that night we went to a nightclub, and the same thing. I could pick up people's feelings and thoughts, and this just all of a sudden changed. Um, my roommate, who was Brendan, he was very concerned, and so was I. Over the next couple days, this started getting stronger and stronger, and I couldn't imagine what normal life was like. All of a sudden, life was completely different. I felt these voices or feelings of seek verification, uh, which was sort of a mental spiritual thing I had to go through to make sure I was still connected to the planet because I felt like at any moment I could just float away
Hmm.
into I don't know where. I got pretty scared several times, but I was also profoundly enlightened by this new dimension I was entering in. Normal life didn't matter. What I would be normally doing all of a sudden disappeared because I totally preoccupied with this sensation of everything. I felt like I was going to go somewhere. People would call, I'd do things. Someone would call and say, "I'll be over in a while." I'd look at the clock. It'd say 1:15, and I knew they would walk in that door at 1:15. And I couldn't turn this off. And I kept feeling some sort of, I called them the monitors. Either that or they named themselves the monitors, and I agreed. But they were like guardian angels. They were something more powerful than me that knew
Hmm.
what I was going through. And that kind of gave me some comfort, although a limited amount because it was getting more intense by the day. And I'll give you an example. My roommate Brendan and I went to a place called the Filling Station here in Austin, Texas at the time. Big, nice hamburger joint, real plush. And so we were in there, and my roommate Brendan asked me, he said, "How you doing now? You okay?" And I said, "I can't explain it. I'll just show you." And I looked at two ladies way over in the far corner of the restaurant and asked him to peek his head around and see if he knew any of them. He looked around and I don't. So I said, "Well, I'll have the brunette who is facing away from us, I'll have the brunette write me a letter." "What?" I said, "I'll have the brunette write me a letter." Very harmless little thing. This psychic period I was going through was too intense. I could either pick up stuff or seemingly interject stuff, but there was no neutral. I would just turn on the TV and watching the news without blam. In fact, every time I'd watch the news, I'd see millions of things into the future. So anyway, these ladies, after a while, were walking out, and they walked by me and my roommate. He'd forgotten about it. He was eating his food, and I didn't. I kept thinking, I'm the guy over here in the blue shirt, write me a letter. Never walked over there, never. And as they left, the brunette, who was second in line, threw a napkin down on my table, on our table, and in big bold letters she'd written, "Why are you doing this to me?"
Wow.
Man, I'm screwing with people's lives. I wanted to rush outside and ask her why she wrote that. What did you feel? But I was too traumatized. I thought, man, I'm screwing with people's lives. Because I was affecting those around me, not in a harmful way, but they were all concerned. And this kept building up and building up. And finally, this is on February 7th, 1977, it built up to a point I just ran out of the apartment, the duplex we were living in. I think I was going to walk over to my girlfriend's house. It was about 8 miles. I wasn't sure. My car wasn't working. So anyway, I started walking, and I started feeling this intense voices talking to me saying, "Keep your eyes on the light. Seek verification." So every headlight, every car light, stars, moon, I've always had to see a light symbolically, and it gave me peace of mind. I guess that's what y'all mean. At least for now, that's all I know. You know? A hitchhiker I picked up, a guy stopped and picked me up. As soon as I got in the car, he gave me a ride a little ways. I knew his name. I knew all about him. I mentioned a couple things that blew him away. You know, he let me out near Guadalupe Street here in Austin, Texas, and it had been building up and building up, and I couldn't take it. I simply couldn't take this anymore. It was too much to handle. I was crying. I was praying. I was pacing down the street, and people were looking at me, you know, and then I stopped. I just stopped. I looked up and said, "Please, you got to help me, universe. I can't take it. What the hell's going on?" And suddenly I felt extremely warm. It was a February night. And I looked up, and there's this huge light right above my head. It looked like a spotlight. And I remember thinking if I had a stepladder, I could touch it, because it was 5 to 6 feet ahead over me. Then it looked like a crystal table about that thick, with this light coming down from the palms of these 7 beings. I looked around, and none of these people in the street recognized. They're just looking at me because I'm crying and screaming and praying one second. Now I'm looking up, and then they're about to really flip out because they revealed themselves. I said, "You're the monitors." They said, "Yes." I said, "Man, I don't know what I'm going through. I can't understand this. Help me." "Shh. Do you trust us?" I said, "Yeah, I absolutely trust you because you're the most powerful thing I'm seeing. I can't believe you're here." People on the street are looking at me. They see me talking to an empty sky, of course. I didn't care. They said, "Do you trust us?" And I confirmed a couple times. Long story short, in a couple seconds, I was hit by a speeding car. Wham! I was outside my body instantly, seeing it get tumbled over by the car. The driver stopped, people screaming. All of a sudden, the whole city of Austin turned into a little dot, a little light. And I was expanding outward in all directions, like a balloon, not like an arrow. And I realized instantaneously, oh, that's how souls leave the planet. They expand out in all directions. And conversely, instantaneously, I realized that, wow, when we're born, we can do the opposite. We contract in from the edge of the universe, even though it's mathematical, hypothetical, whatever. That's how it works, okay? And I saw that instantly, and I had no idea what else I was about to see, because I felt this, I was completely fearless. And soon I didn't even know who I was. It was just sensation, and it was beautiful. And I was going through galaxies and planets, and I went through the edge of the universe, and I went through this realm of consciousness I describe as the colors. Because it seemed like there was a realm of consciousness there that when we come into the planet, we go through this area called the colors, which allows us through our senses, hearing, seeing, thinking, smelling, to actually uncover who we are, where we came from, and why. Mm-hmm. So we get that gift as we come in. Of course, we also get free will, which means we can ask questions or not, or seek the truth or not, or change and grow and evolve or not. So anyway, I was mystified by this beautiful, infinite feeling of, and then the whole universe turned into a big tunnel of light, and I was shot through that. Felt like a clown at a circus almost. Didn't know it was me. I had no awareness of me, just pure sensation. And I'm in this blue, infinite blue sky, about the color of that table behind you with the plant near it. And it was infinite, and it was everything. And it was all creativity. And it had two choices, possibilities. Either it existed, unlimited potential, unbiased, infinite, or it wouldn't have, and nothing would exist. There's no in between. No in between. So I just thought, wow, I'm seeing something that, and I didn't realize I was witnessing it. And then I was kind of drawn back from it. And man, I liked where I was. I didn't know where I was headed, didn't know who I was, but I was pulled away from it almost by observing it rather than being part of it. And I started being pulled back into I didn't know where. Turned out it was this planet. I collapsed into the universe, collapsed past, the solar system, all the other planets, felt the planets, came closer to Earth and thought, I must have a tie with this place. Being pulled here. And then right before I entered Austin, Texas, I saw 3 series of pictures. One was what we're going through now. In 1977, I saw all this chaos that we've been going through since then. I saw 9/11, I saw COVID, I saw all these problems. I'm not sure we're going to have nuclear war, but I saw that it's a possibility, limited, hopefully not. But free will, we can change all that to some degree. Anyway, I saw all that. That's the first series of pictures. The second series was the other side of all this chaos, because we're going into the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces, radically different. And it was beautiful. And there was peace and love and harmony and living with nature. It's like the whole world been recreated. It ain't 2 weeks away. It's probably, it's within 100, 150, 200 years. That's where we're headed. Mm-hmm. It's not a specific date. It's a transition, just like everything in life. And the third series of pictures I saw was of me. I didn't know it at the time, but it was me as a psychic and a musician and traveling around to places, Europe and other places. And in 1977, I was a musician and struggling to make a living. I was never a good singer, so I was always a sideman and felt threatened by being a sideman forever. But once I saw that vision, I thought, wow, I may actually be able to have some kind of a career, make a living. I didn't expect to be a superstar. So then all of a sudden I saw my body and I jumped into it. And I leaped to my feet, and there's a guy hovering over me, the driver, and he's terrified. Mm-hmm. He said, man, I couldn't stop. I said, shh, don't worry about it. I'm not hurt. And I jumped to my feet, and he's trying to hold me down. I'm like, man, you're in shock. And I said, no, I'm fine. And
so you didn't feel hurt at all?
Oh, I didn't feel any pain. No pain. Mm-hmm. The whole car's banged up. The windshield's broken. People are screaming. They're calling the cops and the ambulance.
Did you have any bruises? Did you have any bruises on your body?
No booze, no drugs, no nothing. Mm-hmm. Pure consciousness. Blew my mind. I'd never felt so instantly empowered. But it was very eerie, because what do I do next? I didn't know. I was just going to walk home. And they kept screaming. Everybody said, no, wait for the cops and the ambulance. And so, okay, I waited a minute, and no time they were there. Cops, ambulance, police. And they're all looking for a blood-spattered body laying in the middle of the street. There ain't one. I'm up talking to people, asking them if they saw these monitors. Boy, that didn't work.
I can imagine that.
So
Yeah.
when the cops and ambulance came and I tried to explain to them what happened, that didn't work either. I wouldn't
Hmm.
have believed me, no problem. I could easily understand that. And so they said, well, we got to take you to the hospital. Took me in the emergency room, x-rayed me, checked me out. I was fine, didn't have a scratch on me. Couldn't keep me. They were all amazed. How the hell did you hit this car and you don't have a scratch? Well, right before I hit, they didn't want to hear it. I saw this protective shield inserted right between me and the car, and it protected me, even though the car's smashed up. I wasn't. And so they rolled me over to a corner of the emergency room. A couple of minutes later, a guy came walking in, and I'd had a premonition about him. Knew his name. He was a psychiatrist. Knew all about his family. In fact, I'd had premonitions about this whole scenario. I'd seen cops. I'd seen ambulance. I'd seen panic. I didn't know it was me. I thought, who the hell is this lost soul? Well, turned out to be my trip to infinity and back.
Hmm.
So they rolled me over to the corner of the emergency room. The psychiatrist talked to me. I told him about a lot of stuff. It blew his mind. He said, I've never seen anything like this. I've heard about it. And I said, you're looking at someone who's been there right now. Because literally, I could answer any question anybody asked. I was still connected to that infinite mind. Coming down, and of course, they started giving me sedation and so forth. Um, They committed, the doctor said, I got to take you to a psychiatric hospital. They can't let you walk home like this. You're talking, you saw a UFO and went to heaven and back. I had no problem with that. You guys do whatever. What could I do? They took me to jail, put me in jail for the time being till they could get an order of protective custody to have me, and my brother signed it pretty quickly so they could take me to a psychiatric hospital, and they did. Shoal Creek here in Austin, Texas, February 7th. And I became Gary Mr. Smiles. I was entertaining everybody on my wing. I was absolutely no threat. I
Hmm.
played piano, played guitar for them all. Uh, Talked to these 15-year-old girls who'd been committed because their parents didn't explain simple, natural, basic sexuality. And when they started getting sexually active, the parents threw them in a psychiatric hospital.
Hmm.
It's So I was there for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, they have a whole committee of psychiatrists, and they want to know whether, because they're under order of law by the court, is this guy safe to go home after 10 days or not? And I told them, I ain't changing my story. What I told you guys is what happened. You're psychiatrists. You should be asking me these things. There's a whole world out there that you don't understand. And I'm just seeing how big it is, and I'm encouraging you folks to look into that. And they could tell I was highly intelligent and no threat, and even the doctor, my own doctor, I called him Dr. Turner in the book. He'd had problems with his kids, and he would come in to see me every day at a random time. And I went to the nurse's station the first day, got a bunch of envelopes and pieces of paper. And every day before he'd come in, I'd look at the clock and I'd see, 2:48. That's what time he's coming in. I'd just write 2:48 on an envelope, on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, seal it, give it to the nurse. Give it to Dr. Turner when he comes in. First day he come in, what's this, a letter? I said, yeah, read it. He go, I'll read it later. No, read it now. It's real simple, just a word. Just a word opens up 2:48. What does that mean? Look at the clock. Second
Was
day, same
248.
thing. Third day, he didn't want to open the letters anymore. I was just trying to convince him that psychic ability did exist, and you're looking at
Hmm.
someone who, by luck and fortune and work and determination, has expanded it. And I encourage everybody to do that. Your real power always is, always will be within your own mind, your own heart, your own consciousness, period. And if you get that tuned up, everything makes sense. I'm 77. I've certainly got some physical issues, medical issues. Um, I've never been rich and famous. I've always worked pretty hard and just barely made a living, but I'm the happiest person on the planet because I get to decide that. And if I do, turn that light on the inside, I'll see good results. I believe in asking our guides to help us. I started asking my guides way back in '77 to help me find gigs and cars and apartments I can afford and, girlfriends. And, I got 90% of what I asked for because I never asked to wake up and sing like Ray Charles or someone great. That would have certainly made my musical career easy. So that's kind of a summation of my life and my NDE. I'll be glad to address any questions you have, my man.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really amazing story, amazing experience. Would you say that when you left your body, that you instantly forgot who you are, like all your memories?
Pretty quick. Pretty quick. As soon as I hit the car, I was outside my body. I was watching my body hit it. And then, like I said, I'm expanding so quick, and in no time I had no awareness of me, so no memories either. It was pure sensation. It was like, where am I going? It's a, roller coaster, but except always fun.
And you mentioned that you were fearless. Have you felt any other emotions in that state?
If there's any emotions I could describe compared to human emotions, it would be ecstasy, fun, fearlessness, everything positive you can think of, curiosity. But they seemed to be automatic. I didn't have to be in that state. That's just where I was because of higher mind pulling me toward itself, basically. That's what happened. And it was months later, I might add this. I kept asking my guides from that moment forward, why me? What did I possibly do to deserve this trip to heaven and back? I'm just a normal guy. I'm a struggling musician. And for months I asked that question because I felt like you showed me everything in the universe except why this, except why you chose me. And they wanted me to ask that question because it was about 8 or 9 months later, something like that. I forgot, in the fall, September, October, something, that they finally, I was out on my porch playing my guitar, asking that same question once again, assuming I'd probably get no answer, and all of a sudden I did. I felt them in my front yard, the monitors, and they shot this light into my head. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them. And just like rolling screen credits at the end of a Superman movie, they go down in the distance, They said these words at the same time I read them. And what's interesting, it seemed like it went on for a while, but the wind stopped, traffic stopped, time stopped. For what must have been just a couple milliseconds, but it seemed like it was 2, 3, 4 minutes. And the message they give me at the same time I'm reading it was basically, and I'm paraphrasing, you got this experience because you were always curious. You always wanted to know. From the time you were a young kid, an altar boy, you asked questions. You started reading Edgar Cayce. You gave readings. You read books. You're curious. I got 6 other brothers. None of them are curious about anything like that. They're all businessmen. I was the only one that wanted to know why the universe is the way it is, why things work the way they are, who God is, what's fair, what are the rules? We're going to get judged by the rules. We ought to know the rules. 8 months later, they said, after me asking many times, you could handle the truth, as Jack Nicholson might not say. And so we took you and brought you back. Any problems? No. And they said, you got to be careful because you're highly bipolar, and I am. Said you got to watch your emotions, you got to balance yourself, got to eat right, got to sleep, got to rest, got to take care of your extremes. But they also said, thanks to your extremes, you got this voyage. Regular Joe may not be able to handle it or remember it, because I remember everything. From the time I left my body, I didn't remember anything about me, but I remembered everything about the voyage and back. And when I came back, of course, I remembered everything about my life, but I had volumes and volumes and volumes of new information to decipher for the rest of eternity, or the rest of my life at least. So that's why I encourage people to seek knowledge, to meditate, ask your guides to talk to you. They ain't going to call you on the phone, and they're not going to manifest a body so they can text you or type you. They answer you by what we feel like are coincidences, Wow, I was just thinking that and asking about my guides that, and here the doorbell rang, and a guy going to cut my yard for half price. Thank you.
Would you say that some kind of a what we called time existed on the other side, like a sensation of time?
It's quite different. Most people who've had NDEs describe the same sort of difference. It's like you can experience things sequentially. I go here, see this, come back, blah, blah. But it's not like time oriented like we think of it. You can't count the minutes or seconds. Because I was gone from my body for, 2 seconds? From the time I hit the car, bam, broke the windshield, smashed the car, body thrown in the air, thrown back in the street. The driver hops out, okay, maybe 4 or 5 seconds. People are screaming, he's shaking me. All of a sudden I open my eyes, and I see his red hair hanging all over me. Mm-hmm. Man, I couldn't stop. He was terrified, like I said. Me, I'd just been to heaven. You know? I was certainly trying to understand it, though. Was that the answer to your question?
Yeah. Would you say that you have like some additional senses?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the best senses we have are internal, spiritual, psychic, mental, because there's no limit to that. There's a limit to how far you can hear, how far you can talk, how far you can see or smell. You know, now microscopes, telescopes, audio help it, but we do have limitations. There's no limitation, none whatsoever, about how much we can learn about our mind, our heart, our soul, our connection to infinite mind, our guides, our creativity, love, compassion, overcoming fear, doubt. I could go on. Mm-hmm. There's no limit to it, because those are all internal. They're not physical. You know, okay, we got to have a physical body to go through that thought process, but thanks to free will, it's not our situation in life. It's how we look at it. And immediately, I went from a semi-depressed musician in 1977 to becoming fearless. And to this day, I'm 77. I literally am fearless. Something kills me, I'll be in heaven. No problem, been there. And if it doesn't, if I'm still alive, I can continue to learn, because I do not believe anything we go through or experience has to be in vain. We can learn from everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, the curveballs, the strikes, the scores, the defaults, missing the target. We learn how to recalibrate. It can be a win-win, but we decide to see it that way. And if we take that Pepsi challenge and decide to see it that way, guess what? Life's going to unfold a lot more that way than if we think, man, I'm going to strike out at a baseball game. If you think I'm going to strike out, you will. You're committing yourself to the universe. Maybe not then, but whatever we think, mind is the creator. And that's beautiful, because we have complete power over what we let into our mind, how much we upgrade or don't. But we have to choose to do that. The whole universe now, with extremes, Pluto, furthest planet, extremes. Every planet, every nation, every person, every society is going through extremes. Why? Well, so we can see the flaws in ourselves and in our systems, because you can't fix a flaw if you don't see where it is. You can't fix the circuit if you don't see where the problem is. Can't fix the hole in the tire if you don't see it. Yep. So you and me and the whole human race is getting a 365, 24/7 IMAX version of everything that needs to be addressed. If we can choose to participate, grow, evolve, do our part to make it a better world, including love ourselves, period. Or we can throw all that out and not pay attention and get whatever, like if you lived in West Texas, whatever tumbleweeds happen to blow by. That's what you get. You didn't put up a fence, you didn't go in the house.
Would you say that because of this experience, your fear of death completely disappeared?
Absolutely. I don't want to die a painful death. I'm 77. I've gone through, a couple of medical challenges. I can barely walk. I've got, degenerative disc disease and IBS and all sorts of stuff. Parathyroid surgery, for calcium. So yeah, I ain't a spring chicken, but I've lost a lot of weight. But I'm happy, and I'm creative, and I'm inspired, And if life takes me tomorrow, fine. If it doesn't, I'll be hanging around to do the best I can. So yeah, I'm not afraid of death at all. I don't want to die a painful death, but who does? But on
Yeah.
the other side, don't fear. God's not going to take you. It's your most vulnerable time when you die and go, well, let's see, buddy, heaven or hell. Sorry, you get hell.
So you think we decide when we check out from this planet?
More subconsciously.
To some degree, yeah.
To some degree, yeah. There's a tentative game plan we come here with. It's not an accident we're born to the parents in the time we are. Of course, this is agreement from the mom to give birth, number one. If she ain't pregnant, we can't come. And there's many souls that may come to one mother, but it's not a competition. It's sort of okay. They kind of bow and, okay, you go first. You're the one who needs this big karmic trip, and this is perfect for you, or close enough for rock and roll. Kind of like everything in life I look at, close enough for rock and roll. So yeah, I think there's no accidents. We came to be who we are, but we forget it. And that's why we have to, you can't even remember everything you did last Thursday between 2:30 and 6:15, can you?
Yeah.
Of course not. So how can we remember every experience we've been through in infinite time? And there's an infinite amount of experiences. And the irony, the beautiful irony of this whole theme of existence, life, reincarnation, is this simple fact that I can't prove, but I know it's true. Kind of like Bill Maher. Can't prove it, but I know it's true. It is that infinite mind is imagining this whole thing. We're part of a little drop of water in the infinite mind of the ocean. Ain't an accident. We came here, we got the opportunity to be individuals. We took the banner and ran, and here's where we are. And you can look around the world, and everything that's going on, with the exception of nature, is what we did to the planet, including screw with nature. So there's no accidents, there's no coincidence. Everything is cause and effect. Everything, good, bad, or ugly. And we have the power of cause and effect. You don't know how to connect the infinite mind, or talk to your monitors, or grow, or evolve, or learn. Decide on it. Seek information. Practice. That's the same way you learn to play golf. Or swim, or anything. You decide and you practice. Life is a lot of decisions followed through by practice, There ain't no accidents or coincidences. Everything is cause and effect, even if we didn't see it coming. That's kind of what I believe.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of times in your interviews and podcasts that in this experience you understand the quantum level, like when unmanifested become manifested. Would you be so kind and elaborate on that?
Yeah, in 1977, I studied electrical engineering. I knew a little bit about quantum physics, but not near as much as is known now. And, I follow as a layman. Can't follow the math, but as a layman, for example, quantum physicists say that at the beginning of the universe, there was random quantum fluctuations, which put a bunch of galaxies over here and none over here. Even though the whole, if you look at it as a whole, it's pretty homogeneous. But there's clumps of matter and clumps of space. That wasn't random quantum fluctuations. It wasn't random. It was infinite mind doing its little planting seeds so there would be a universe so that we and other souls could come and exist. It wasn't random. It may look random, but you don't create a universe just by randomness. That's my feeling. There was a nudge from infinite mind to make atoms and electrons and matter, and any of the numbers in physics, pi, the electrical constant, any of these numbers, the distance the Earth is, magnetism. If anything was a little bit off, there wouldn't be matter. There wouldn't be space. There'd be space and time, but no matter in it.
Why would you say that the life on? A lot of people say that life on Earth is extremely challenging. That this is the most difficult planet to live. That experience gave you some insights about that?
I
Nature of human?
I do believe that in a lot of ways it's the basement, so to speak, of life.
Yeah.
You can look around now, we've got every level of life on the planet, from people still live in caves to, people, astronauts, So yeah, I believe all levels. Look at biology. There's everything from an amoeba to us.
Mm-hmm.
There's every little extension. If you look at the other side, it's tiered too. There's higher levels of power. They're not in competition. They're not so run by time. It's completely different. But again, you can see and experience things sequentially, but it doesn't feel like time is passing as you're doing that. Even though most people have had NDEs, they talk about, I was here, I did this, then this, and some of them last a while. My last less than, like I said, 4 or 5 seconds, and I couldn't believe any human being could go there. I didn't even know there existed, I assumed there was some sort of God, an infinite something, but the fact that I or any human can actually visit it blew my mind then, blows my mind today. So I encourage other people. I can't push a button and give you an NDE. Believe me, if I I would, because it completely shows you to be fearless about death. And even as most people who've had NDE say, it gave you more passion for your life. Because one thing you don't have to do is worry about then. So we concentrate on now. Here, doing the best we can with each other. And that's a choice, because people can be jerks. Look at the news.
Yeah, for sure. So after your NDE, what did you focus on in your life? How did it change your life?
This was in 1977. Mm-hmm. I started giving readings in the early 70s with regular deck of playing cards, and I was pretty good at it. In 77, I was touring with a couple different bands. I quit a band right before this happened. About 8 months later, a year later, I joined some other bands. So basically, I was playing music to make a living. And I asked my guides from 1977 on, show me how to make a living at music. I don't want to be an expendable lead guitar player, sideman forever. That has no security. And in 1980, I started dating this lady who suggested I quit traveling on the road with all these crappy bands, start playing these country bands. They're making all the money, big dance halls in those days. So I did. I started making a ton of money, not traveling. I had a piano. I had no roommate. I had, other than Friday and Saturday and Sunday nights, I had all day and all night free. And I practiced 12 hours every day on the piano.
That's a long time.
And every 2 or 3 hours, I'd pat myself on the back. A couple years later, talked my way into a piano bar. Surely wasn't that good of a player or singer, but they hired me, and I became a good entertainer. And even the other guitar players, the other piano players there went, "Wow, this guy's he's fun. Yeah, man, I can't play that well, can't sing that well, but I can make people laugh and buy drinks. That's the gig." It ain't a CD deal. It's I worked my whole life in bars and clubs and a couple concerts.
And that make you very happy?
I think I was happy just because I could travel and play music and have a good time. I was extremely grateful just for that fact alone. If it was tough, fine. What scared me as an electrical engineer in 1970 was all the defense work. There weren't any good jobs in computers or anything. It was all defense, so I just didn't do it. And again, never thought I'd end up being a professional musician. But years later, the jobs were still not in. It was in the 80s and so forth for medical technology, and other jobs started coming in. So meanwhile, I was playing music. And once I learned to play solo, playing piano, I went back to guitar because I'm a much better guitar player. But I had the confidence to play solo. I'd done it 4 hours a night for several years, in spite of the fact that everybody that worked at the club was better than me. They liked me. So I realized I do have a marketability. Record companies ain't going to knock themselves over trying to get me to sign, that's for sure. But I was happy just to travel, play, have fun. No problems. Like I said, to this day, I'm grateful about everything. Extremely.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to be grateful. Would you like to come back to Earth again? To have another life as a different human being?
I think it's inevitable in some
so?
form. I don't know how or when. I can't prove it. There's just been too much confirmation from psychics and people and Edgar Casey and to some degree common sense about reincarnation, because I always believe if God's fair, you're going to get some good, some bad, and some ugly, but you're not going to get all ugly forever, or probably not all good forever. You'll get some thorns in your flowers. But on the all, we're going to go through challenges. We're going to go through phases. We're going to go through surprises. But I believe in life, when we go through a surprise, an upheaval, all of a sudden we're facing something new. It's not life trying to torture us. It's life trying to show us something new, trying to show us what we can and perhaps should learn next. But it can't make us. It can only tap on our shoulder. And there's a lot of higher mind tapping on a lot of shoulders through this whole planet right now. You know, I saw all this 1977. I wrote the book A Second in Eternity about that experience. I even got the police records in there and the hospital records too.
Wow.
So the police records say, you know, they booked me on UFO lunacy. They didn't know what charge to put on. You know? He's talking to a UFO. He's lunatic, you know. It didn't bother me at all. I was kind of laughing during the whole thing. You know, from the time the cops thing there and people were screaming hard, I said, wow, this is divine humor if I've ever seen it. I'm the joke. I'm the victim. I'm the witness. I'm the subject. But thank you.
Are you happy that, because nowadays NDEs become very popular, a lot of people are coming out from the shadow and talk about
Well,
these
I
stories?
think it's very healthy because too many people fear death. And it's good that so many people are coming out, because a lot of the religious community just talks people into fear. Maybe not so much as they used to, but there's still a lot of it. You know, like God's going to give you one shot, and if you screw up, you fry forever. Give me a break. Hell, you give your kids more than one shot. Your neighbor, even the guy that ripped you off for $50, you can give him another shot. But God won't. It's just, you know, if people use their common sense, look at nature. You want to see God? Look at nature. It recycles. It reincarnates. It's constant. You know. So is evolution. Not only does it reincarnate, reinvest, and recycle, but it continues to expand and grow. New species. So I'm very much an optimist in all levels, but that's by choice too, because I went through severe depression and I know what it's like. Jesus, do I know what it's like?
Was it before your NDE or after?
Before my NDE.
Before.
You know, in my mid-20s.
What was the root of the depression? The cause?
Insecurity in a lot of ways.
Insecurity.
I grew up with 6 brothers. I didn't understand women at all, so I was having I didn't date much in high school and very little in college. I got a girlfriend and kind of stuck with her for 5 years. And once I started playing music, they were like, wow, there's always girls around. So I gained quite a lot of confidence. It went from one extreme to the next, you know. As a result, I never got married. I spent my whole life on the road or meeting people. And 15 years ago, as clear as I'm talking to you, brother, I asked my guides to help me find a soulmate. I don't want to date. I don't want to go on anymore. I'll sign the deal. You guys find the right soulmate. I'm taking it sight unseen. I'm agreeing already. I'm signing the deal. We don't get everything we asked for. But a couple months later, the lady of my life walked up to me here in Austin at a film industry mixer with 1,000+ people, and she'd been talking to someone. They said, oh, go meet Gary. He runs blah, 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 blah. I ran some organizations. So she came over and talked to me, and we've been together ever since.
Wow, that's such a beautiful.
Don't be afraid to ask. You gotta
I'm
ask.
very happy for you.
You gotta ask, and you gotta continue to ask.
I'm asking universe for so many things, you know.
That's
Why
okay.
not?
Be patient, too. We don't get everything. But if you ask for 10 things and you do your part, 3 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, any of those are better than 0 out of 10 because we didn't ask and didn't try and didn't believe and didn't have faith. You want to hit a home run? Bring a big bat and believe you're going to knock the ball out of the park.
Yeah, I love that.
Because you'll hit more than if you think, I'm scared, I might strike out. Yeah, you will. You just thought yourself into that. Either this game or eventually.
How about your second book? Can you tell us about it?
This is a book I wrote
Lithomancy?
about lithomancy. In 1980, I met a very gifted psychic. She did a reading for me this way. I'd never seen it. Was using regular playing cards, a little bit of tarot, but mostly just regular playing cards. It was real easy to me, you know. Uh, she
So
did a
that's a
reading.
special technique, right? To
This is,
for
yeah,
psych.
she
Hmm.
did a reading for me, and wow, I'd never seen this. I asked her if she'd teach me, and she said, okay, I got a class in 2 weeks, so I signed up for the class, went to it, and it was pouring rain. And I was the only person there. Nobody else showed up, her and me. And it was raining so heavy we wanted to go home pretty quickly. She showed me in about 5 minutes how she does a reading. Next day I got 16 stones, and I marked them with a little piece of paper so I could see which are which, a little piece of tape. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. 10 planets. The 6 other stones are love, life, luck, commitment, timing, and place. 10 planet stones, 6 personal stones. If I do it in front of somebody, they drop the stones. Mostly now I do it over the phone. And people say drop, and I just drop them. And then I read it like a clock, 12 to 3 to 6 to 9 over a period of a couple of weeks. Depending on where
Hmm.
the stones land, where they point, how they touch. And to me, it's real visual. It's like a blueprint, you know. And, of course, nobody can answer everything. And I tell people, no matter what I say, hell, you can go move to Utah tomorrow. You probably won't. I don't think you will. I'm looking at what you're feeling, so that ain't it. But you can. Free will, free will, free will. Can't underscore it enough. The power of free will. The power of deciding that you're going to see yourself this way, love yourself, forgive yourself, do the same to other people, grow, evolve, learn, think outside the box, become more empowered and efficient. You put those ideals in your mind and you start practicing and ask your God to help you, your whole life's going to improve. You're doing everything right. Period.
Hmm.
You're still going to get curveballs, but you'll learn to bat better.
I would love to ask you, how do you understand courage and how to go, like we named the podcast, Beyond the Courage?
Courage. I think I was I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a courageous person, but when it came down, especially this near-death experience, I have never been so challenged in my life and will not be again as what I went through the week before I was hit by the car and went to Infinite Mind. For a whole week, it was escalating, and I experienced fear, incredible fear. But at the same time, I felt like, wow, this is a strange sense of balance. I feel like I'm protected. I'm going somewhere. I feel like there's guardian angels, monitors. And that wasn't hallucination. That's life. We all have higher mind. We all have guardian angels. There's so many levels of consciousness above us that can serve us and will, and that's what they do, with their reward is knowing it and doing it, helping the human race. And we can tap into that and grow and evolve, but you got to make the choice just like you'd have to if you want to learn to play tennis. Go get a racket and hit the ball.
Hmm.
If you sit on the sideline and wish you were a tennis player, that's cool, but it ain't the same as playing tennis. Decide, practice, learn, be patient. People have no idea how much power they have inside, how much they have access to. And I started believing it because I got shown it, and I never quit pushing for it. My whole life, since 1977, I've asked my guides to help me find so many things. A couple of years ago, I lost my car keys. Had to get to an appointment. I'm one room after the next, one drawer. Where'd I put them? And I finally went, okay, this ain't working. Guides, I need to go there. I got one car, one pair of keys somewhere. Please help me just find them. So I quit searching the office, the last room, and I went into the kitchen to pour myself some coffee, and there are my keys, right next to the microwave where I left them. It was less than 10 seconds
Hmm.
after asking to have, and I've gotten results I haven't gotten everything, but I never asked to get a record deal. I knew that wasn't in the cards. I don't have the voice, the talent, the looks, but I did ask to help me make a living playing music because I like it and it's more fun than working in an office. And I don't want to do that with a slide rule, which is what engineers did then. That scared the living hell out of me. Really did. I went to interview a couple companies in 1977, electrical engineer, and I avoided the defense companies because I wasn't even going to do that. And that was 90% of it. And there's people like from General Motors and IBM who interviewed me, and like IBM said, well, we're a white shirt, black tie company. And I said, oh, you mean formal? He says, no, people wear a white shirt and a black tie. That's what you wear. No pink ties, no colored shirt, no striped shirts. And I thought, man, this sounds pretty damn boring to me. I don't care how much you pay me. I want to go travel, have fun, meet people, experience, meet ladies, learn about the world, see different people. Even if it's on the low end of the budget or the low end of the, performing thing. Clubs, as opposed to concerts and record deal. I was pleased, I was happy, and I'm grateful for that too. I got to travel all over. I lived in Europe from 93 to 2000 and played all over. Lived in Copenhagen. I learned a little Danish. Hvis jeg snakker til dig på dansk, kan du forstå mig?
It's a beautiful place.
If I speak to you in Danish, can you understand me? It's a challenging language.
Challenging language, yeah. I've been there a couple of times, yeah.
Okay.
And you also mentioned very important thing when you were approaching Earth, contracting, that you see those two visions besides yourself, and what we can do as a humanity to go into this direction of, abundance. And,
well, we can't change the fact that the whole world is going through extremes, and that we're all being forced or encouraged to see our flaws. That's just happening. Got to clean the garage out. Got things have to recycle. What we can do is not drive ourselves crazy over what we can't change. You ain't going to change that. I learned, that's one lesson I've learned well. I don't worry about stuff I can't change or have an effect on. I may observe it. I watch the news. I've been a news junkie since college in Vietnam. Every day I'd watch Cronkite and see how many people got killed in Vietnam. So I've watched the news, but don't let it drive me crazy. And believe me, there's plenty in this country right now, Trump, to drive us crazy, But we become smarter, wiser, and more efficient by going through challenges and tough times. Because if we got to choose our lives where we never went through challenges, we'd pick the path of least resistance, of course, and we'd never learn anything. So everything we go through in life, like I said, whether you chose it or whether all of a sudden it's here, we can learn something from. Talk yourself into learning something from it. Talk yourself into being fearless about the other side of life. God ain't going to throw you in hell. If you think that, you're halfway living there anyway. So get out. Start living in heaven. Here, now. Not then, here, now. That's my philosophy.
That's a beautiful message. At the end, I would like to ask you, Gary, what would be your message to humanity right now after all those experiences, NDEs, and your amazing, beautiful, adventurous life? What we should focus on right now?
Believe in yourself, number one. Love yourself. It's not selfish, it's smart. Forgive yourself. Admire yourself. Expand. And do that for other people too. Love other people. Because we can completely change, maybe not the circumstances and the situation, we can always change the way we look at it, the way we see things. And that's real power. And free will, the best gift human nature of the universe to human nature, is we can change the way we look at things. We can learn new things. You may have been a drunk and a Nazi and a Ku Klux Klaner 10 years ago. It doesn't mean you have to be today. You can be. But choice. Think wisely. Relax. Love yourself. And that's real important. In all this chaos and intention and extremes on the planet, people are forgetting the simple basic. Love yourself. Turn on the light. Turn on the light inside. Then you can see everything. Because if that's working on the inside, everything works. You can deal with the outside, you can deal with the inside. If that's not working, everything's a little shaky. And there's no limit to how much you can get your mind and heart and spirit and intentions and thinking outside the box and contacting your guides and learning how they talk to you. There's no limit to how much we can learn about that. there's certainly a limit to how fast you can drive down the highway. You know.
These are such a beautiful words and a beautiful conclusion. I would like to also add that as a Beyond the Courage, we support this amazing foundation, the Gift of Heart, which for past 40 years have helped to save life of 1,400 kids. It's based here in Chicago. We'll place all the links in the description. Is there anything else, Gary, you would like to add?
Thank you very much for your time, for having me, for what you do, for the name of your show, Beyond the Courage. Darn right, we can have more courage than we even imagined, but you got to practice it. Just like you have to practice golf, you know. But if you want to be a golfer, practice. You want to think big, practice. You want to feel empowered, practice. You want to become fearless, practice. Because we can become fearless. Everybody can. And don't worry about what God's going to do with you later. Think about what God can help you with now, and yourself, and your neighbors, your friends, the people you care about. There's plenty to do with where we are in life and who we know and what our situation is. There's plenty to fix in that department, and that should keep us preoccupied. Let the people who can fix the world's problems, let them do that. If you can do it, help. If you can't, do what you're good at. Help other people.
Yeah, thank you for that statement. Are you thinking about maybe the third book right now?
This one, you mean?
No, are you thinking about maybe writing another book?
I think about it. I've got a lot of writing I've done. There are a lot of short stories, a lot of little bitty ideas, but I haven't, got plans on continuing a complete book. But I do have a lot of ideas. I write a lot. And there's the part in my computer that says ramblings and unfinished. And it's got about 25 or 30, between 5 and 20 pages of stories or ideas that I wrote one time. And I would go back and look at them and go, wow, this would make a good short story or good. They're not spiritual like this one, and they're not like a textbook like this one. And they're ideas about people and life that I may incorporate. I took writing courses from the Manchester, England, the Writers' Bureau, when I lived in Copenhagen from 93 to 99. And I wrote 80, 90 short stories for them. And they were real English and real critical, and they helped me really refine my writing. First short story I wrote was called A Message from Virginia. Interesting story, but they said, wow, you used every cliche in the book. Brilliant story, but write in your own cliche. So, okay, good. They caught me all. Yep. Avid reader, to windshield pounding on it, rain pounding. Typical words that, no, say it differently. So I really started thinking that. So I learned a lot about writing by taking courses and having them grade me. You can learn a lot about anything if you decide on it, seek information, practice, believe, and do your homework. And then pat yourself on the back, take a break. Don't drive yourself nuts with work. Balance, balance, balance.
Yes, balance. That's a beautiful conclusion. Thank you so much, Gary, for this amazing conversation and for sharing your really amazing NDE story.
Thanks for your time, brother. May God bless you. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and same to all you listeners, think outside the box. Believe you can, because you can. If you believe it, you'll prove it to yourself. Ta-da.
Ta-da, for sure. Thank you. Garry Wimmer was our guest today. My name is Robert Canis, and this was another Beyond the Courage podcast. Thank you, Gary. Have a beautiful evening and magical life. Thank you so much.
You too. And I was going to say, if people want to find out about me or connect me.
Yes, that's how they can connect with you, how people can find you.
They can email me, GW, as in Gary Wimmer, at GaryWimmer.com. GW at GaryWimmer.com. Sometimes I'm kind of swamped, sometimes I'm not. That's the best way. Email me. Or go to Lithomancy.com. I named my website after this method, Lithomancy, Lithomancy.com. Either way, you'll find about my books and what me giving readings, and I can email you back and set up a schedule if you're interested. But thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and God bless you for believing beyond the courage. That's a good one. Love it.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you.
You too, brother. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.